The aroma of fresh coffee and bacon frying filled the warm and peaceful air at the Route 78 diner, a tiny place hidden in a quiet village deep inside rural Georgia. People came there every morning because it felt safe, friendly, and full of life, like a small lighthouse in a world that sometimes grew too dark. The chairs were old but comfortable, the lights soft and golden, and the sound of clinking plates made everything feel normal. But on this particular morning, something heavy, something cold, something sharp under the skin began to slowly replace that peace. No one saw it coming. No one even imagined the day would change their town forever. Sitting alone at a corner table near a window was a boy named Malik Johnson, a quiet 16-year-old with a simple gray sweatshirt and worn jeans. He looked like any other kid stopping for food, someone who simply wanted to sit quietly, eat fries, sip soda, and think about life. But inside him lived something stronger than anyone in that diner could guess. Malik had trained for years in the Army Cadet program, learning discipline, self-control, and courage. He had learned to protect people and to stay calm even when everything around him was falling apart. He had a small silver badge pinned inside his pocket, a reminder of what he'd worked for and who he wanted to become. Though still young, he volunteered at a community center and helped kids find direction because he knew how easy it was for young people to fall into trouble when no one guided them. That morning, Malik looked relaxed as he ate, not knowing his life was about to change. The bell of the front door suddenly rang, and the sound cut through the diner like a knife. The whole place fell silent as 5 huge men walked inside. Their heavy boots hit the wooden floor like loud thunder. They wore leather jackets covered with angry red symbols, the emblems of the Iron Claws, a violent biker gang known for causing fear wherever they went. Their leader, a tall man with a long scar across his cheek, glared around the diner like a wolf searching for prey. His name was Travis Cole, and he enjoyed seeing people tremble when he entered a room. Customers looked down at their plates. A mother hugged her children tightly. Even Ruby, the friendly waitress who had worked there for 20 years, suddenly looked nervous. She held her notepad with shaky hands. But Malik, calm and still as a stone, watched the reflection of the gang in the window instead of turning around. His eyes were sharp, his breathing steady, and though he said nothing, he already sensed the storm that was coming. Travis snorted loudly and said, "Look at this little farmhouse of a diner. Don't you boys think we can have some fun today?" His gang laughed like hyenas, and one man with a skull tattoo purposely knocked over a customer's coffee, sneering without guilt. Fear spread through the room like smoke from a fire. Malik slowly placed his soda down, and inside him something he didn't want to feel began to rise, an old memory of danger, of people crying for help, of standing alone when no one else dared. And he knew a moment of choice was coming. Travis and his gang did not even try to hide their cruelty. They walked through the diner like they owned it, pushing chairs aside, smirking at frightened faces, and whispering insults loud enough for people to hear. One of the gang members kicked a chair near an elderly man just to watch him flinch. Another grabbed a packet of sugar from a table and threw it at the floor, laughing as if breaking things made him powerful. Ruby forced a smile and stepped toward them, but her voice trembled as she asked, "Can I help you boys with something?" Travis ignored her completely. His cold eyes had already found something else, something he found more entertaining. A young mother sat at a table with her 2 small children, one a toddler gripping a stuffed bear, and the other barely old enough to hold her own cup. When Travis stepped toward them, the toddler started crying softly. Travis bent down with a cruel grin and said, "Ah, don't cry, little guy. Mommy will protect you, right?" The mother's lips shook, and her hands wrapped around her kids like a shield. Ruby stepped closer, but fear stopped her halfway. No one knew what to do. No one dared to move. Everyone hoped someone, anyone, would stand up and help. That was when Malik finally lifted his head. His heart beat slowly, steady as a drum. He did not shout, did not jump up, did not act angry. Instead, with a gentle but firm voice, he said, "Leave them alone." The entire diner froze. Travis straightened up, surprised that the voice belonged to a boy barely old enough to drive. The gang turned around, forming a curved line around Malik like predators circling a deer. Travis leaned forward, mocking him. "And who do you think you are, kid?" Malik pushed his chair back and stood. His movements were slow, calm, almost peaceful, but everyone watching felt something powerful behind them. "I'm someone telling you to stop before you cross a line," Malik answered. His voice did not shake. His eyes did not blink. He spoke to Travis the way soldiers speak to danger, with focus, discipline, and no fear. The man with the skull tattoo was the first to act. He lunged toward Malik, grabbing for his arm. But Malik moved like water, fast, smooth, without hesitation. He stepped aside, spun lightly, and struck the man in the shoulder with just enough force to knock him off balance. The man fell hard onto the floor, the sound echoing to the diner like a slap. The entire diner gasped. Ruby dropped her tray. A little girl near the booth covered her eyes. Travis growled, and the remaining gang members surged forward. Malik dropped into a defensive stance, his feet planted solidly, his body loose and ready. Inside his mind, everything slowed down. He remembered every drill, every training session, every lesson about control. He wasn't fighting out of anger. He was fighting to protect. He dodged a punch from a biker on his left, then drove his elbow into the man's ribs. Another biker grabbed him from behind, but Malik bent forward, twisted, and kicked him down with a sharp, clean strike. Chairs fell. Plates slid across the floor. People huddled under tables while watching with wide, disbelieving eyes. Malik was faster than they imagined possible. His expression did not show joy or pride, only determination. The fight was violent but clean, fierce but controlled. Malik did not try to hurt them more than necessary. He only wanted to end the danger. Soon, only Travis remained standing. Travis stared at the boy with a mixture of rage, surprise, and something darker, fear. He had picked fights with strong men before, but never had he seen a kid move with such quiet power, such calm confidence. "You think you're some kind of hero?" Travis spat. Malik stepped forward, breathing steady, eyes locked on the gang leader. "I think you should leave," he answered. Travis clenched his fists and prepared to charge, but just then the distant sound of police sirens pierced the tense air. Someone must have called for help when the fight started. Travis froze. The gang members on the ground groaned and scrambled to get up. They knew the police arriving would mean trouble, especially with witnesses everywhere, and a recording phone now visible in the hands of a teenage boy hiding behind a booth. Travis glared at Malik with hatred burning inside him. "This isn't over, kid," he growled. "We'll be back to teach you a lesson." Malik didn't move, didn't blink. "Only if you're dumb enough to try again," he replied, not in a mocking voice, but in a steady, matter-of-fact tone that shocked everyone. Travis grabbed his injured man, and they hurried out of the diner just as the police cars pulled up outside. When they disappeared, the diner suddenly filled with a sound of relieved breaths. Chairs scraped. People slowly stood. Someone clapped, then another person, then the whole diner applauded Malik. Ruby rushed over, tears in her eyes. "You saved everyone's sweetheart," she whispered, placing a slice of pie on his table. "This is on the house." Malik blushed slightly and shook his head. "I only did what anyone should do." But deep inside, he knew not everyone could do what he had done. After finishing his pie, he left the diner quietly, unaware that the video of him fighting the bikers was already spreading across social media like wildfire. By sunrise the next morning, Malik woke to the sound of buzzing notifications. His phone was overflowing with messages, hundreds of them. Friends texted. Strangers followed him. News reporters asked for interviews. The video had gone viral. People everywhere shared comments. "This kid is a hero. We need more boys like him." He protected everyone with courage. Malik stared at his screen in disbelief. He never wanted fame. He never wanted attention. He just wanted to help people. But now the whole world knew his face. Later that day, Malik walked to the community center, where he volunteered. It was his favorite place, bright and noisy, filled with children laughing, drawing, playing basketball, and learning things they never learn at home. He loved helping them because he knew how hard life could get when too many people ignored you. As soon as he stepped through the doors, everyone stopped and turned. Then applause erupted. Kids ran toward him, hugging his legs, cheering, saying, "Malik, we saw the video. You're amazing." Mr. Henderson, the director of the center, walked over with a proud smile. "You've inspired us all," he said warmly. "Your courage is what true leadership looks like." Malik lowered his head shyly, feeling his cheeks warm. He didn't fight for praise. He fought because a mother and her children needed someone to protect them. He fought because silence is dangerous. But he also knew something else. The Iron Claws gang wasn't gone. They were angry, humiliated, and dangerous, and they lived in the same town. So instead of celebrating, Malik focused on something bigger, helping the youth avoid falling into gangs. He worked harder than ever that week, coaching sports, giving advice, helping kids with homework, and talking to teens on the edge of trouble. Messages from people online kept coming, many offering donations to the community center. People wanted to help after hearing Malik's story. Slowly, the center grew stronger. More volunteers joined. More kids found mentors. But somewhere else in town, in a dark abandoned garage, Travis Cole watched a video on his crack phone over and over again. His jaw clenched with every replay. He hated seeing people cheer for Malik. He hated being shown as a villain. But deep inside, buried under anger, something else stirred. Something he hadn't felt in years. Regret. For days, Travis avoided his gang. He sat alone, thinking about his life. The video made him remember the boy he used to be before gangs, before anger, before hopelessness took over. He used to dream of being a good father. He used to want a normal life. But somewhere along the way, he lost himself. One night, he stared at an old photo of his 10-year-old son, Liam. The boy's innocent smile broke Travis's heart. "He deserves better than me," he whispered. The next morning, Travis made the hardest choice of his life. He took off his gang jacket, folded it, and placed it in a box. Then he walked to the community center. When Malik saw him enter, he immediately tensed, stepping protectively in front of the children. "I'm not here to fight," Travis said, raising both hands. "I want to talk." Malik hesitated, but eventually nodded and led him to a quiet corner. Travis spoke slowly at first, stumbling over his words. But soon, the truth spilled out, years of pain, mistakes, bad choices, and fear. "I don't want this life anymore," he said softly. "Not for me, not for my son." He took out the photo and handed it to Malik with shaking fingers. "I want to change. I just don't know how." Malik listened carefully. Then he placed a gentle hand on Travis's shoulder and said, "If you are truly ready to change, I will help you. Everyone deserves a second chance." Travis's eyes filled with tears he never expected to show. For the first time in years, he felt. From that day forward, Malik and Travis began working together. Travis convinced several gang members to leave the Iron Claws with him. At first, the people in town were scared when they saw the men near the community center. But slowly, everyone realized they were not there to hurt anyone. They were there to rebuild their lives. The former bikers began fixing broken bicycles for kids, cleaning up parks, painting walls, and helping repair old playgrounds. They even gave talks to teens about the dangers of violence, sharing their own painful stories. Malik helped guide them, giving them tasks, listening to their struggles, and teaching them patience. The transformation was not easy. Some townspeople didn't trust him at first. Some gang members almost gave up. But Malik kept reminding them, change takes time. Don't quit. One afternoon, Travis helped rebuild a basketball court. As he tightened bolts on the new hoop, he looked around and saw children laughing, parents smiling, and volunteers chatting together. The world suddenly looked brighter. For the first time in a long time, he felt proud of himself, not because of power or fear, but because he was doing something good. Soon, the entire town felt different. Streets that were once quiet and afraid were now alive with families. Kids had safe places to play. Teenagers had mentors instead of gangs. The Iron Claws no longer existed. They had transformed into a group dedicated to helping others. And all of it began with a single moment inside a diner. 1 month later, something special happened. Malik was organizing a soccer tournament at the community center when Mr. Henderson called him to the stage they had built from old wooden crates. The whole community gathered: parents, kids, teachers, volunteers, and even former gang members. Travis stood at the front with Ruby, the diner waitress whose hands once trembled with fear. They all wore proud smiles. Mr. Henderson raised a small plaque with Malik's name carved beautifully on it. The words shone in the sunlight: Leader of Hope. Malik's eyes widened in surprise. Children cheered loudly. Ruby wiped tears. Travis clapped harder than anyone, filled with gratitude for the boy who changed his life. Malik stepped onto the stage, shaking his head shyly. When Mr. Henderson handed him the plaque, Malik looked out at the faces in the crowd. Faces full of trust, love, and gratitude. He felt his heart swell. For a long moment, he couldn't speak. Then, with a simple but powerful voice, he said, "This isn't about me. It's about all of us. We changed this town together, and we will keep fighting for each other." The crowd cheered even louder. Parents hugged their children. Teens held up handmade signs. Someone shouted, "We love you, Malik." Travis's son, who had been watching from the crowd, ran forward and hugged his father. Travis lifted the boy in his arms, smiling with tears in his eyes. Malik watched them, knowing the journey was far from over, but proud of what had begun. That night, Malik walked through the town he helped change. Streetlights glowed softly. Children laughed in the distance. A cool breeze brushed his face as he passed homes where families sat together without fear. The streets that once felt dangerous now felt full of hope. Malik knew there would still be problems in the world, still fights to face, still people who needed help. But he also knew that even small actions could cause incredible change. One brave moment could turn into a wave of kindness. One fight to protect others could lead to a whole community rising together. One teenager could inspire even the hardest hearts to start again. Malik looked up at the stars, feeling grateful, strong, and sure of who he was. He whispered softly, "It was worth it." And far away, in the Route 78 diner, Ruby placed a framed newspaper clipping on the wall, showing Malik standing proudly beside the community he helped save. Under it, she wrote, "Never underestimate the power of one brave heart." The diner, once filled with fear, was now filled with laughter again. And the story that began with danger ended with unity. And so, the tale of courage, hope, and transformation finally came to a close. A story that began with the title. Racist bikers mess with the wrong kid in a restaurant, and he teaches them a lesson they'll regret.